Good evening. It is Wednesday evening, December 13th, late in the evening. This is live. Either you're listening to this live or you're hearing a recording of this live. We have a very interesting situation that's expected to develop and is already developing right now over in the Texas area, over Amarillo, Texas. In that whole area, snowfall accumulations of 5 to 8 inches are now expected under areas which have a winter storm warning. This is in response to a cut-off low that was sent from the desert southwest. But that's not really where the real action is right now, and where the most interesting synoptic weather setup is going to be developing. We go into the Gulf of Mexico, and if you look at any weather map, you could almost sense a very strong similarity between this and a tropical storm. You just look at where the low pressure is developing over the next few days, and it's really coming from pretty far down south in the Gulf of Mexico, surrounded by warm water. What's very interesting about this, first of all, we have extremely intense rainfall accumulations forecasted to occur in Florida, up to 10 inches in some areas, a solid widespread 3 to 5 inches over South Florida of rain. This does sound like tropical storm type stuff. Fort Lauderdale could be looking at something similar to what happened in the beginning to mid-November, which is about half of what happened last year, April 23rd, when 20-some inches of rain accumulated within a short period of time. We have something very intense like that. It really does resemble tropical rainfall type of accumulations. But the other thing is that the system is a warm system. It's not just that we have Pacific air, as we pointed out earlier today, Pacific air that comes in to really dominate the U.S., even portions of Canada, right before this storm system moves up the coast. What that means is that the air that the storm pulls into it is actually Pacific air. Even without that, though, just in general, the storm system is a warm storm system. It's really very strange for this time of the year. In fact, it's very difficult to tell the difference between what forecast highs are going to be next week on the East Coast behind the storm system and what it would be in the month of September behind a tropical storm. High temperatures in many of these locations in the 50s, despite the fact they're behind the storm system. The rain, solid rain, no snow is in the forecast. You could see up in the mountains, there does seem to be some type of snowfall accumulation looking at the European computer model, but that's assuming a 10-to-1 snow-to-water ratio. I don't know what the experts are saying about that, if that thing is actually materializing. But a lot of rain is expected over the East Coast, so it's not just we have Pacific air behind it, which is going to prevent snowfall. The system itself is a warm system, and therefore there really is no mention of snow. There's no mention of snow over here. There's another thing which is very unique. We're going to come back to the snow in a second. But here's the other thing, is that no one really knows what's going to happen after Tuesday because the system just parks. It just doesn't move. And there seems to be two different approaches as to how to handle this storm system. One of them is that eventually it does get put into the jet stream and it moves. The other one is that it just stays around there off the coast and just continuous showers just continue. You know, originally this was going to be a Sunday to Monday system. Then it became extending into Tuesday. Now they're saying there could be showers going all the way into Wednesday. And by that point, some cold air will start to make its way into the East Coast, and we could start to see some snow. So going back into the snowfall discussion, because of the lengthy period of time that this system is going to be hanging out around the East Coast, there could be, at the end, it does look like there probably will be some snow, some snowfall accumulation, especially when you head up into the New England area. In fact, some areas may get several inches of snow, but that's about it. It's not a classical nor'easter. You know, if you think back, you go back to it was the Halloween blizzard back in the 15 years ago or so, something, it was maybe, was it 2011, something like that. So there you have like a hurricane or tropical storm that went into basically Arctic air, so you got heavy snow on the backside. Here we're holding right now in the mid-December, and it's just as in the New York, not the New York City, but up in the northwest part of the state, the National Weather Service has pointed out, one would think that nothing could be better for a snow lover to hear? Nothing's more exciting than to hear about a coastal low in mid-December and your city is on the backside, because that's a guarantee of a couple feet of snow. But in this case, it really isn't. There really is a lot of resemblance to a tropical storm. There even is an approach saying that there's a slight chance the thing might even develop tropical storm characteristics for a short period of time. What that means is that its energy will be coming from the ocean and not from contrast in temperatures. It's a completely different type of system, and it's complex. It's a complex system because you kind of have to figure out how the thing is going to develop. Will the dynamics of the land type features, is that going to rob the system of its strength, or is that going to enhance the system of its strength? And those are things which are going to have to be figured out over the next several days. Some scenarios show a more weaker system, some of them show a stronger system, but it seems like either way it does look to be like a strong storm system that moves up the coast. It's an all-rain system mid-December. Who would ever think that such a thing would be happening? Meanwhile, in Texas, and really winter hasn't even started yet. It's before December 21st, and we already have our first winter storm with winter storm warnings in Texas, in a country which does not have Arctic air. If you have no Arctic air, what state do you think you're going to get heavy snow? Texas. The most southern state. It's a Gulf Coast state. Texas is the Gulf Coast state. You think that's where it's going to be? Well, I wouldn't think so, but that is where it is. That's due to the dynamic cooling. We've spoken about it too much already. Too much. Let's go over to the Gulf of Alaska right now, and we're just going to mention that the storm systems just get stronger and stronger over there. And if you look in the extended forecast, we have a storm system of a 28.0 headed that way into the Gulf of Alaska. It's just powerful stuff. The National Weather Service in Chicago tells us that the El Nino is working strong, and it is responsible for a strong Pacific jet that's expected to continue for the next week or two for the remainder of the forecast cycle, which will bring a continuation of above normal temperatures and below normal precipitation to the Chicago area, along with most, maybe even all, of the Midwest. Thank you for listening. For those people that enjoy mild winter weather, you have it made for you. You really do. Even in Texas, by the way, this is a short-lived winter storm. Temperatures go back into the 60s for Amarillo, Texas, within just a short period of time, within a few days. And for the snow lovers, I'm sure you are ecstatic in Texas. We are going to bring this to an end right now, and hope people learned something, perhaps, and have a wonderful night.